I think we ready. I'm ready whenever y'all ready.
I'm ready, yo.
Well, start the mother.
Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to another action-packed card of All-Star Wrestling.
Special edition. Shit. I'm so hyped for this episode that I'm starting the episode wrong. All right, niggas is back. Niggas is black. As always, it's the Black Wrestling Podcast, giving y'all wrestling from a nigga perspective. It's your boy Cal, representing RockTheDub.com, but you already know that. The squad is here, minus the homie Math. Math is taking care of some other business, but say what's good to the people.
Your IllFan79 on your social media choice, aka Fawn Tables, Ladders, and Chairs.
Stupid. If you're not watching on the YouTube, you're playing yourself. If you're listening, you heard the laugh. You see the man. This pod's been a long time coming, I will say.
It really has. It really has. I'm a little disappointed it took us this long to make it happen, but
you know what? Well, this is the thing. Like I don't even remember how long I've known this man. I feel like, because the hip hop media circles online, you see somebody tweeting some funny shit, you follow back.
Yeah.
But I feel like we were talking a couple of weeks back about when the culture in pro wrestling kind of linked
shifted.
Up.
Yeah.
And I want to credit this man for really, putting that stamp out there. Like, Rassle Rap was a huge deal as a Twitter account. And I think when you guys really started getting into the pod game, a lot of people started taking notice and trying to move in those spaces as well. But this man's got, that's not his only thing. He's worked at many media outlet. He's currently talking sports in the morning, MSG. He's talking wrestling over at the Ringer. He's talking hip hop and all types of shit with the homie Khaled. And he also used to work at the WW. We got some shit to talk about this week. Kaz, what's good with you, man? Welcome to the Black Wrestling Podcast.
Cal fam, it's good to be here. Like I said before the air, I try to keep my shoot interviews to a minimum because there's a lot to always talk about. But I appreciate what you say about Russell Rap, man. Like a lot of people, what I'm saying, like it's I never really realized it until you really put it out there that shout out Emilio Sparks, shout out Ernest, shout out the whole sort of collective that kind of started that thing. But Big Vin, Mighty Vin, obviously. But man, it's been several years since we kind of started that sort of shout out to Wale, obviously, always, but it's been several years since we kind of started that sort of point of view as far as covering wrestling and just talking about wrestling because we was all just fans of it. And it's crazy to see how much that's blown up and Emilio's kind of taken it, took the football and ran with it. And it's always been loved there. And just seeing so many more sort of black young people that just are into wrestling. It's not a corny thing no more. It's not a weird sort of oh, you watch wrestling. It's not that no more, because it was definitely that for a long time. But
for a while,
we've all kind of seen just the metamorphosis of how we all kind of experience wrestling and the way it permeates pop culture in so many levels that it's not so off brand for someone to be like, oh yeah, I watch wrestling. I remember, even if you don't watch it now, they'll hit you with one of the, oh well, I used to watch it back in the day.
Stone Cold.
Yeah. So it's not as weird as it used to be anymore. But I really do appreciate the Wrestle Rap love and everything. And damn right, man, really appreciate it.
There's what's the one thing that sparked, really trying to get you on the pod now was a tweet you made about you wanted to have the real Kenny Omega conversation. We'll get to that though. We'll get to that in a moment though, because what's crazy is the last couple of weeks. Like, I don't want to say WWE hasn't been doing anything, but it feels like a lot of the pertinent conversation has been surrounding AEW and Impact. So, but yeah, we'll get to that in a minute, because before we started recording, we have to actually say rest in peace to Tommy Tiny Lister Jr. You guys, if you're Drip's age, you probably know him as Deebo from Friday. Old niggas like us who was watching WWE back in the day definitely know of him as being Zeus.
Zeus,
No holds barred,
beating the brakes off of Hulk Hogan before it was cool. You know?
Loved it. Shit out of him, man. Need one of those, and it's crazy because obviously. I was mad young. I didn't know he was a fucking racist like that. I didn't know he probably didn't want Tommy Lister being around his daughter and all that shit. But to see a black dude go, because he was like crazy, just like I had this. It was like the steel shit on his arms, the steel shit on his boots, and he was just beating Hulk Hogan's ass. I might have to watch that movie this weekend just to see Hogan get his ass beat.
Yeah, man, he had that wild cock eye too. Like he was just crazy. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's one of my earliest memories of him, man. Like I remember eventually watching Friday, but like, oh, that's the dude who beat up Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? Like I was super young, and on top of that, like my man Josiah Johnson. Incredible Twitter account, a super funny dude. Also mentioned, like, aside from all that, like anybody who's in LA knew that Tiny always showed mad love to everybody, one of the coolest people out there. So it's definitely a sad day today, man. One of our cultural icons when it comes to getting deboed or any of that type of stuff. So rest in peace to Tiny Lister, man. Real sad day.
Salute. I don't want to sound like a promo guy, but a while ago, was it a couple of years ago, fam? We reviewed No Holds Barred on the podcast, and it was so good that I had to cut it and make it its own thing. I'll drop it in the link so people can review that amazingness. Damn, 62 years old. That's way too young. That's way too young. And especially sound like he has. I don't know what his
2020 a cold hole, man. 2020 cold hole.
Yeah. Taking all our heroes this year, bro. I ain't fucking with them.
Nah,
evil bitch, man.
2020 phony.
Big facts. 2020, you a piece of shit. But,
hey, look, I ain't gonna talk too crazy about 2020. There's a couple more weeks left.
Facts. Yeah, word. 2020. You be good to me. I ain't do nothing to you. You the one taking everybody.
I'm just trying to get out of here in one piece, man. That's all that is.
Big facts. Now, all right, so let's move into this Kenny Omega conversation. But first, all right, so I know Fam's probably one of the few people that probably has access to access. I don't know, access isn't I have to illegally download Impact to actually watch it week to week. But Kaz, how familiar were you with Impact? Like, how often did you watch Impact? Like on some real shit. All
right, so I'm gonna keep it a buck, right? Like I got a lot of friends at Impact. Like Moose is a good friend of mine. Chris Bay, I met at the Wrestling with Stereotypes panel with Andreas Hale and Marty Bell and Willie Mack and Kenny King. Rich Swann I've known for years. Like Rich Swann was literally like one of the first wrestlers I met with Wale in Houston when funny, it's crazy it's been this long already. Like there was a time me and Wale was literally just trying to get black wrestlers signed by WWE, where we would, guys like Ricochet, Paulo Cruz, Rich Swann, and Rich was one of the first people we met. And we introduced him to Mark Henry, and things get, you put them in front of each other, and then several months later, deals get done. And it's I watch a lot of Impact, caught a lot of heat from Peter Rosenberg when I was doing the Masked Man show with David Shoemaker, because I was on Twitter saying like, yo, we about to watch Bound for Glory as a family, and he was trying to play me like He's like, fam, you watching Impact? And I'm like, bro, like I got like the Good Brothers, those are my guys. Like, of course I'm gonna watch Impact. EC3, that's my guy. Like, of course I'm gonna watch Impact. I'm definitely gonna support those dudes. So I definitely watched it, and I'm really happy that they're getting this look right now, man, because Impact is always kind of like this like running punchline with a lot of people. But like when you really kind of step back and look at it, it's like, all right, who came from Impact? A lot of people that I like, fucking Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley. I mean, Gail Kim, just so many dope wrestlers and dope moments happen in Impact. But we're a lot of us, not us, I mean, but a lot of fans get the WWE blinders on, and if it's not like in a 20,000 seat arena, people think it's whack, but it's not, man. I really fuck with Impact.
Let me say this though. All right, the top of the card is very, very black, which I love. Right?
Which I love. Yes.
The bottom of the card.
There's a lot going on down there.
Crazy
leaves a lot to be desired.
Crazy Steve. I'm glad Crazy Steve wasn't on this week.
AKA Hunky Shango.
That can't be the name of the episode. I don't think we can do that.
I'll fuck with that name, Hunky Shango. I mean, like all wrestling promotions, not everything's perfect. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, there's some enjoyable shit there. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's definitely something I like, but like all wrestling, you could say that about the bottom of the WWE card. You could say that about the bottom of the AEW card. Like, there's always gonna be some stuff that you like and some stuff you don't like. But for the most part, I'm like, it's a solid show. Like, I fuck with the X division. Like, I like TJP. Like, I like their whole. They're pretty. People don't give TNA/Impact enough credit for being like really innovative, and people kind of like low key swagger jacking a lot of the stuff that started over there. You know what I mean? Because it's not the cool thing to do, but I fuck with Impact, man. Like they put a lot of people on. I mean, think about it. Like Young Bucks were over there for a time. CM Punk was over there for a little bit of time. Like everybody's favorite, everybody's indie darling had at least a cup of coffee at Impact. So it's like, if you're gonna try and shit on it just because it's not like the super high production budget that the other companies got, it's like, all right, you're not a real fan of wrestling. You're just trying to see what's popping.
But the rule of thumb is don't nobody hate wrestling like a wrestling fan.
Look, bro, listen. I've said this for months. I'm like, and I've said this on many podcasts. The worst thing about wrestling is wrestling fans by far.
I love niggas in it.
That's me. No, well, I will say I do kind of wish that Impact could do something with the crowd. I feel like it.
Yeah, they gotta do something.
Like, props to them because they're professional and they operate in the program as if they were wherever they would normally be. But right. I just wish it wasn't like it looked like the Triller, the boxing event where it's like you got a ring and then it's just pitch black. I wish they like pipe in some crap, maybe have a couple of spots. I wish there was something they could do to.
They haven't evolved since the beginning of the pandemic, and everybody else has, and it makes them look crazy.
Yeah, that's the one thing. I mean, I'll give them this. When it comes to Impact, I think they benefited from the pandemic, and as far as like talent, because with the big WWE cuts, I think most of the more notable cuts ended up in Impact. But as far as like being able to put on like a doper show and at least feign the crowd excitement or something like that, like there's only so much they can do.
Right.
Now we mentioned how it being a good look for them. I saw that they did go up in the ratings. It's not a surprise. I think they were trending number one at one point on Twitter.
They said like about like 700,000
something like that. Yeah,
what's a big number for them? Very big number. I actually think they beat NXT this week, which is crazy.
Oh, wow.
From what I hear, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's official.
That's kind of sad because aside from the thing with this week's episode of Impact, which as I was watching, I'm like, you could tell that AEW is really trying to help them shine. Like, you know what I mean? Tony Khan's doing bad comedy with Tony Schiavone. You know, they're going back to Kenny Omega, and they were talking so much about Kenny Omega, you almost forget that they have a whole main event pay-per-view going on this Saturday. You know what I mean? And even with the matches that they had on the show, the one match that I really did enjoy, obviously, was the one with all the niggas in it. I mean, I can't front. You know, there's something about Chris Bay, like when Chris Bay and Rich Swann, when they did their back and forth in the beginning of the match, like I felt like shit. I can't wait to see this, and I kind of wished that I don't know everything that's going to be on the pay-per-view. I know that's a match, and I kind of wish that they had spent a little more time hyping the pay-per-view. But
I mean, I get what they're doing, man. Like, you know, they getting the big rub from Omega and AEW and Cal's and all that type of stuff. But I mean, I think I read somewhere that this is the first pay-per-view main event with two black wrestlers wrestling for the world title since 2001.
Right.
Booker T versus The Rock.
Right.
Which tells you a lot of
it's
where
bad.
the state of black wrestling is. So
Somebody
you'll be hard pressed to find me saying anything bad about Impact. And you know, they got some really good people behind the scenes, man. My guy Robert D. Evans, he's one of like the head guys booking over there, one of the head writers. And when I was over at WWE, he was kind of like a dude that like I had to shadow when I first got there, and he kind of like showed me the ropes around there. And he's a brilliant wrestling mind. Like, he's the guy that was behind a lot of like the really dope Daniel Bryan Miz stuff, behind a lot of like the really cool like women's division stuff when like they were just developing like Becky Lynch as the man and all this type of stuff. Like, he's super duper talented and super smart, and like he's an actual wrestler too. And like, he quit WWE in the most fantastic way I've ever seen anybody or heard anybody quit anything ever, because I had just left maybe 3 weeks before he quit. He was writing let me remember the story correctly. He was writing the Hall of Fame speech for Bret Hart, right? I think introducing somebody. And when you're back there, when you're in Gorilla, you're kind of like, you know, there's a lot going on, and you're in headsets, and Vince is over your shoulder, and not over your shoulder, but, you know, he's in his corner, and like all this stuff is going on. And apparently he missed a big cue. I don't know what the cue was. I don't know what was said. I think it might have been around the time where I think the what's the name? The Revival. I think somebody tried to like jump Bret Hart or something like that. Like, it was a lot of craziness going on. But
yeah.
All I know is he messed up somehow. But it was nothing where like it was like a crazy mess up. But he was already at the point that, you know, I'm not gonna let this dude like get the satisfaction of firing me right now. So he quits like right in the middle of Gorilla and walks out and like really tells Vince like, yo, I'm out. And you know, he's, aside from the juicy like backstage story, like he's a really dope dude, very like very knowledgeable wrestling mind. And knowing that he was at Impact doing a lot of things over there made me really comfortable to watch it, especially like when they got that influx of, you know, WWE guys who got let go, the Eric Youngs, the Good Brothers, EC3s of the world. So you know, there's some solid stuff going on there because of him.
Okay, hold on one sec. We got Drip in with a stat.
Drip got some stats.
NXT had 659,000. Impact had 221,000. So Impact did improve a lot by last week, but NXT still had second place. Impact didn't surpass NXT.
Gotcha. So what I said
one show.
What I said was I saw that 659 number, and somebody tweeted out a number that was like 700 something, and I think that might have been on Twitch.
That's supposed to be that might be on Twitch. Yeah, they had different numbers on Twitch.
Yeah. Well, I might be wrong, but you know, that's where I saw that from.
No,
they had 50,000 on Twitch. 50,000 on Twitch.
But they did. I mean, they did noticeably better. I think their normal numbers are like it was under 200,000. It might have been like 160 or something like that normally.
Okay.
So, it was a big look. And you mentioned the shouts out Darius Lockhart. He had shared that someone called it a fun fact about two black guys, because the homie at Violent Miracle, they do some really dope merch over there too. And he had hit me and was like, "Yo, I know ROH had there was one. It was 2016 at their Supercard of Honor. They had Jay Lethal versus Leo Rush for the ROH World Championship, but that was not a year where they did that on any type of pay-per-view. It wasn't even the main event of that card. I think the Briscoes or somebody it was some tag team was in the main event of that Supercard. And
hey yo, I bet you the Briscoes are a great tag team to travel if you want to know where the cop at.
Fact.
That's right. I can tell you a lot of people who are good to travel with when it's time to cop.
Now when we cut all this talk, because I got a question.
I was about to say, what if we talk offline? I ain't trying to mess up nobody's main event pushes.
Nah, because it's a question that I need to ask that I can't ask, that you can't answer while we're recording. So I'm gonna answer.
I'll tell you straight up. I'll tell you straight up without saying the name. Right? My first, like my process of elimination, you can probably figure out who it is, but I'm not gonna say who his name is. I'll tell you offline. I think like it was like my second or third week on the road, and somebody pulls me over the side, a talent, a superstar, looks at me. He's like, "Hey, yo, you smoke?" I was like, "Yeah." we never had a conversation before. He just pulled me to the side. He's like, "Oh, do Black Rider?" Okay, looks at me. He's like, "Oh, you smoke?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yo, I had some stuff left over. I couldn't get it on the plane. I figured you'd take it." Pulls it out of his pocket. That's me, yo. And I was like, and we have been thick as thieves ever since.
That's my man, 50 grand right there.
Man, 50 grand. So yeah, that there's definitely certain folks that will take care of you on the road. It was like risk legal now. You'll be all right.
So my question is in, I guess, that vein, but it may be, but you definitely can't answer this question.
Okay.
Do niggas say nigga backstage in the WWE event? I've always wanted to know this. Now, I asked another brother that has been backstage at said events, and he said, what? Huh? And then he threw the bounce pass. He was like, "Yeah, yo." So when such and such went there, and then he did this thing, I said, "Yeah, that's dope." However,
I need an answer, my man.
Do niggas say nigga, and which niggas say nigga?
If it makes it, to make you more, I mean, listen. Nobody who couldn't say nigga said nigga in front of me.
Well, I wasn't talking about people who couldn't.
Absolutely, yeah. Amongst
that's what I'm talking about.
When they saw me pull up there, like and be on some like, "Oh, like you right?" I was like, "Yeah," and then obviously you're on the road a lot, you're traveling a lot. After this is when SmackDown was on Tuesday night. Tuesday night was like your Friday night. You know what I mean? Like if it was a pay-per-view week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you get in town Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. By the time it's Tuesday night, SmackDown's over. Your hair's down, you kicking it, you at some party, some bar, whatever, like, and yeah, of course, absolutely. Like when we amongst niggas, absolutely we say it. Of course, it's not as rampant as in, I guess, hip hop media, but yes.
Or this here podcast.
Or this here podcast. Niggas was shared amongst one another. But again, I guess by process of elimination you can figure it out, but never.
100%. 100%. It was Zack Ryder.
You were fucking stupid. During, because I'm still we build into this Kenny Omega point, because I didn't watch Impact Tuesday night. I didn't watch.
My biggest issue with Kenny Omega is that he carries himself like he gets no bitches. And I have a big problem of my world champion needs to seem like he gets bitches. Like
He's talking about comic books.
he just comes off so. Let me back up first.
Let's go. Unpack it.
Kenny Omega, one of the best in-ring talents I've ever seen in my life. Bar none. Fantastic. Like when it comes in between those four corners, not a lot of people get down better than him. That being said, just when he's trying to be, and I guess this is part of his heel persona, and I guess this is what makes him a good heel. You know what I mean? Like he just comes off so just lame, bro.
Goofy.
Like he cuts goofy promos. He cuts like weird, just uncomfortable. Like he just, even the way he just kind of moves, I'm just like, have you like what? Did you practice that in front of a mirror? Like, there's no way. Like, you looked in the mirror and did all that and was like, "Yep, that's the way to roll."
I got it.
Some niggas got a Spider-Man #1. I got a whole issue with Colossus. They didn't even make the Colossus comic, but I had it. So now what? What y'all gonna do? What y'all?
Jesus.
I'm sorry, and listen, this is just a way I've always looked at wrestling, you know what I mean? And when it comes to like just sort of looking at what a top talent is, a top talent got to look like my best barometer if a wrestler is dope is if my fiance thinks she's dope. Because my fiance is like, you know, she'll watch with me, but she always not into it like that. But you know, like if it's a big show, like you know, she'll get into it. She'll follow the storylines with me, you know, whatever. But like if she's passing by after just watching Love and Hip Hop or Real Housewives or whatever, and doesn't stop and ask who is that,
right,
not with it. You know what I mean? Like she'll stop. Like if I'm watching NXT, sees Finn Balor pop up, she's like, "Oh, who's that?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's what a world champion's supposed to look like. You gotta look like you get bitches." You know what I mean? Like her favorite wrestler, and it's not like a body thing. It's not like a good look thing. My fiance's favorite wrestler is Keith Lee. You know what I mean? Like the first time, you know what I mean, we was watching NXT, I think when the first AEW NXT battles was coming on, she was like, "Who is this big black man doing all these backflips and shit?" Like she's like, "I like him. Like he is fucking, he's super dope." And like you just gotta have like a swag about yourself, man. Like you don't. I mean, I'm not judging no other man's looks. I mean, like that's, you know, whatever.
Other shit.
You know, but it's a je ne sais quoi that you just gotta kind of have, that, you know, world champions are supposed to carry themselves with. Like, look at the motherfucking tribal chief. You know what I mean? Like that. Like I ain't, bruh. Like he's supposed to be like, it's supposed to be all that, and it's not even just like the looks or the way the dude, you know, carries himself, but it's like it's a swagger about yourself. Drew McIntyre, like there's a swagger about him, like even as he became world champion, that it's like, okay, like he's comfortable. Like Kenny Omega makes me uncomfortable when I'm watching him talk. I'm just like, yo, I just want to watch you wrestle. Just get in the ring. Just ring the bell. Just ring the bell, man. Let's go. Let's go. Like Jon Moxley, like you see him, and it's like there's a comfort about him. You know what I mean?
We also know his track record.
And you know, I mean, obviously, I mean, you know, doing all that. Even like, you know, the Jerichos, the Cody, like you see people, and it's just, you just gotta have that swag about yourself that's just confident. And maybe me breaking it down to like the minuscule, like
Cody looked like he get bras.
Listen, Cody, you gotta look at the tags in them suits, bro. Like them shits ain't cheap. Shits ain't cheap.
Well, and he did also bag Brandy, so I mean, hey, he did something right at some point. You know what I'm saying?
He's Dusty's kid, and you know them Dusty boys. You know they love them some sisters. So
talking right out their drawers. That nigga done upgraded from Sapphire, though. God damn.
Hey.
Hold on, my man Davis, the drip man got a stat for us.
What's the stat?
Well, I think well, real quick to talk about Cody, he was literally dashing Cody Rhodes for a while. That
there you go.
Yeah, he was.
I get bitches. He had the mirror on the jacket, but Ricky Starks. If you see how Ricky Starks dresses, he gets bitches. Yeah.
Because we I think Fam mentioned Ricky Starks, I believe, The pebble. We were talking about it offline. I mean, again, we talk wrestling all the damn time.
Yeah.
But we talked about it before on the pod. How his swag. He looks like The Rock when The Rock was really trying to be that guy.
Figure it
before
out.
He was world. Yeah, and every week Ricky Starks has got the fitted pants with no socks and the damn black shoes. Like, and he will beat you down in that shit. But then he's going to the club afterwards. He's popping bottles with all the chicks out there.
Listen, I put it like this, man. If you could pull up to WaleMania comfortably, you could be a world champion. I'll put it like that.
And that is not Kenny Omega.
And Kenny Omega. I mean, granted, I would love for Kenny Omega to come to a WaleMania one year once the world gets back to normal or whatever. But it's
Prove me wrong.
It's just prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. You know what I mean? Like we've had no need to segue for WaleMania. Like we've had everybody pull up there. Everybody, and I've seen them in action. All right, I've seen them in action. So
work in the room,
work in the room. I've seen them all work the room, and certain folks I see, I'm like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, for real.
That's what I'm talking about. Like it's a 1 a.m. You know what I mean? The open bars finished up. You know what I'm saying? Like people are just kind of stumbling around and you know, trying to shoot their shots before the bar closes, and it's like that's what I came to say. I like that.
Imagine sitting and watching your favorite wrestler getting the jumper line. Like, yep, all right.
Listen,
you know, she look like she got a couple in her. She need one more in her. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you, man. I feel like WaleMania, even more so than Wrestle Rap, really brought the culture of hip hop, just you know what I mean, just making wrestling a little bit more palatable to the mainstream, more than the podcast, because it's like, shout out Court Bauer. He was one of the first guys who runs MLW who kind of like jump started it. But it's especially the last two, in New York and New Orleans. It was just so much like, I'm in the midst of like Duce Palooza, craziness where I'm like, I could throw a party. I'm like, you give me a venue, you give me something, like you give me 3 months, I will show you the world. You know what I mean? And the last two especially really put it over the top as like what we all wanted it to be when we first did it, because back, I think the first WrestleMania trip we all took was WrestleMania 31. It was me, Wale, my brother Emilio Sparks. We went there, and me and Wale used to hit all types of events together, you know what I mean? And sporting events, but we were just wrestling nerds too. Like this guy could hit All-Star Weekend all the time, Super Bowl all the time, and all this type of shit. And then we'd go to WrestleMania weekend and be like, damn, like how come, how lit would WrestleMania weekend be if they had like those type of like Super Bowl All-Star Weekend events where it's not necessarily at the arena or access and none of that shit, but like it's just something popping that like we can all go to and kick it and like see a concert and party and get smacked, and like, it's a celebration. It's the Super Bowl of wrestling. Like, why not? And the last 2 years is when we really saw it come to fruition. And I feel like this year, man, there was so many dope things planned, especially it was in Florida, Tampa. Everybody kind of lives down there. We had we had a dope thing planned with like Jesus and Mero. We had a dope thing planned with Foot Locker. You know what I mean? Like we had so many incredible, things that we wanted to come to fruition, just to really drive home that like, wrestling's getting blacker and more culture than ever, you know what I'm saying? And like New York, I don't think, I mean, man, I hope we get a chance to one day, but that New York moment is just, it's hard to top.
Yo, I'm hurt over New York still because Sparks legitimately like personally invited niggas to come up the road. Now Brother Math wasn't here today. and myself, we're in Maryland, right? And you know, Cal was up the road in Jersey, but the nigga was like, yo, y'all come through, y'all good, come through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, fam, I don't want to go up there by myself. My wife, Mrs. Fam was like, hey, look, I don't know what them niggas doing. Just go, yo. Just go.
Yeah.
I was like,
you missed out. You missed out.
100%. 100%. We've had niggas come on here. We Sparks came on and talked about. And then you sit there and realize that like Shad was there. You know what I mean? The moment where MVP and that crying, and you know what I'm saying? There's so many moments from that night.
I feel like it'll be so hard to top because you know what I mean, it was the last time we all got I mean, it's sad looking back at it, especially like, you know, given what happened with Shad, but like it was still really cool that like we all, you know, New Day, a bunch of us, we all kind of talked about it later. Like at least we all had that moment to kind of like be together and like love on each other for that night. You know what I'm saying? And man, it was such an incredible night. You know, mixed with that, like looking back in the hindsight with Shad, you know what I mean, seeing MVP pull up, Samoa Joe pulling up, like we're like in the midst of Kofi Mania.
Right.
I had just left the company. So like as soon as I'm like telling people about this event, it was a no-brainer. Like everyone was like, we all pulling up, you know what I'm saying? So like it was something like I'll never forget in my life. Like I've done a lot of things in my like life and career, but like being able to be in Sony Hall, like right smack dab in the middle of Times Square in New York City, and do something that I know for a fact has never been done before, that speaks directly to like my interest and my love, and you know, being able to fucking toast Booker T, bro. Like Booker T being the guest of honor, and like fucking Ciroc sponsoring a toast for this dude where all of his constituents and his homies are here, and like, you know, he comes in like royalty with his wife, and then but everybody who comes in is like, yo man, this weekend's about Kofi, and the New Day's not on the marquee, like they're not on the flyer, like nobody knows they pulling up, you know, and
but you
know,
can feel it in the air though.
You could feel it in the. You could feel it was. Oh man, I would give anything to go back to that night, bro, because it was such a moment when they finally pulled up, because they was doing up up down down, doing the gamer tournament, and they're texting me the whole time like, yo, we coming, just stick around. How long is it rolling? I'm like, yo, we got some time. Everybody's rolling, and then like, you know, then Wale's already in the mix, like he's doing his songs. Pulls up Young Chris, pulls up Smoke Dizza, pulls up West Side Gun, pulls up, you know, Flex Cartel, all these MCs and Flex Cartel's performing, and you know, Woods and E text me like, "Yo, we downstairs right now." I go to get them, and usually when somebody comes in, we give the whole, you know, yo, pulling up, da 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 da. The only people who pulled up with no introduction was Samoa Joe and the New Day. And when the New Day pulled up, man, like I get goosebumps even like thinking about it now. It's like it felt like in that moment, it felt like bringing LeBron into Ohio. It's like, and nobody knows LeBron's pulling up. It's like every time there was a lapse in talking or moments, the crowd's chanting Kofi Mania. Like every time, like anytime, you know, Booker T is talking to people in the crowd, it's like, you know, this is, I appreciate y'all. He's going into the Hall of Fame for the second time, you know what I mean, with his brother for Harlem Heat or whatever. But this weekend's all about Kofi, man. I hope he can do what I couldn't do, and yada yada yada. And it's black wrestling fans, bro. Like that I you know, I've never seen that many just in one place. And then to see them just bum rush the spot and I've been in Sony Hall mad times. I've been in Sony Hall for some of the biggest rappers on the planet. I never heard that place get louder than when they rolled out. And then, like, you know, months later, WWE's hitting me like, yo, we're doing a Kofi Kingston 24. Can we get that footage? You know what I mean? And like, that's part of, I'm so glad they made that a part of the story, because it really was a real moment, man. Like he was on this kind of like groundswell that we've we've only seen with like Daniel Bryan, really. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where it was
organic.
It was organic, it was authentic. The people wanted it. You know what I'm saying? And like there was no way you could deny this dude of his moment at this time. And as tired as he was, man, like he was doing media all day long. He was dead tired, and he told me straight up, like, yo, I've never experienced that in my life. Like just walking in and just seeing like that support. It was like it was some. I don't mean to like super duper gas it. It was some Muhammad Ali shit. It was some Ali Boumbaye. Like,
I've had in the couple of folks that I've interviewed from black folks from the WWE. Like I've talked to Leo Rush, and I feel like Leo knew Wale, but it seems like when he was telling me about WaleMania, he was kind of like that was what really started their relationship and him working on music and whatnot, or getting that foot in the door. I interviewed Big E when Big E was out when he had the injury not too long ago, a year or so ago, and it never went up for whatever reason. But we even had that conversation, just talking like that shit is real. Looking at Twitter that night and seeing the videos and the
it was a real moment, man. Like I've never in my life like felt that palpable. Like you can touch how much people wanted him to win. And even if he didn't win, people were just happy he was getting that moment. And like, as black wrestling fans, we're all so conditioned to like expect the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But we're so conditioned to expect the bullshit. And, even like real life, like the New Day, who, I did a lot of work with when I was over there, they felt they definitely felt away when I was kind of like let go right before this thing. So like even like as it's going on, like they're like, yo, Kaz, like what would you say in this moment? Like, yo, like so I'm still helping them out because I love those guys, this is my people. But there was some real life emotions going on there because it was like, man, like you think they're gonna do all this, like, are they really gonna go through with it? You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't until like Saturday night that I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I think it's really gonna happen. You know what I mean? I think it's really gonna happen. But it's man, that moment at WaleMania, I mean, goddamn, Samoa Joe coming up and doing public service announcement, and Leo Rush in the spot, and Ricochet and Cedric Alexander and Big Swole and goddamn, the big strong boy, what's his name? My guy, the white, goddamn, Mustache Mountain, damn, Tyler Bate. Ooh,
Tyler Bate, thank you, Drip.
Completely forgot his name. I was completely blanked on that. Tyler Bate came he was by far the drippiest dude in the entire building. Like he came in with with the Gucci loafers, no socks, shades on, posted up with West Side Gun with the collar pop. Like
that's hard.
Like just completely shitting on everybody. Like Corey Graves pulled up and told the world, like that was the first time he told the world that like him and Carmelo was a thing. Like that was like
you already got it.
That made the dirt sheets. Like he came in, him and Vic Joseph. I pulled up to them. They pulled up Super Smack, and we're just talking this shit.
Yes.
And he says, I know everybody. I know there's a bunch of internet fans that don't fuck with me, but I just want to tell you tonight, I'm feeling FABOLOUS.
Wow.
And then he puts Carmelo on FaceTime and shit. There's so many moments from that night. Like if we have lots of footage, like my guy Snap God, who does a lot of Wiz Khalifa stuff and everybody else's stuff. Smoke does a lot of New York. He does a smile photographer today. Mm-hmm. One day we're gonna put out a they don't know this yet, but one day we're gonna put out a documentary about that night because it was moments that you can't script, moments that was just so cultural in so many ways in the hip hop and wrestling. And now with how much the world has changed, it's like, damn, like, are we ever gonna get a moment like that. Like as soon as it was done, the first thing was like, "Yo, Tampa, blowing the roof off. LA, we blowing the roof off." Like, and it was,
WaleMania definitely would have been the second livest event in goddamn LA.
Oh,
after the Pod Nation brunch. The Pod Nation brunch.
I need that.
Announce table and everybody was plotting for this year, but then the world shut down, so
yeah, man,
we had to push shit off.
Corona. So now you mentioned and I don't want to. Nah, I ain't gonna preface it or nothing. Listen,
go ahead.
You mentioned Booker T. You mentioned Mark Henry. There's a conversation that we've been having ongoing for the last few months. And you've had to see it on social media with those gentlemen. Some of the interesting comments they've made. You can compare, what their history has been, and you've been privy way more than most. Is they are starting to, especially in the last few months, come off more as gatekeepers than OGs. Like MVP has been an amazing OG over the last few months. He's been the MVP of OGs. You know what I'm saying? To be corny a little bit. The gatekeeping that now does that seem? Are we imagining that? And I don't want you to shovel no dirt on anybody's name, but it's kind of something we've had an issue. Me specifically, I've had an issue with and calling niggas out on it. You know what I'm saying? With whatever little voice I got.
No. I hear you. I mean, there was definitely a moment where I think Naomi was trending, and Booker T said something that might have been taken the wrong way, taken a little sideways. And of course, it could have been worded better, but you got to understand, Booker T has been doing this for almost 30 years at this point, right? Like you could tell, and I've known Booker T for a long time. He is not coming, he ain't a hater. You know what I mean? Like he's not coming from a place of malicious intent. He's coming from a place of like, yo, I know what helps get people over. I know what helps. I've worked with this dude for a long time. I've been in this business for a long time. And, like it's a hard pill to swallow because, pro wrestling and WWE specifically, I've seen it with my own two eyes. Like it is a very confusing place to be at sometimes because, in most situations, you would think that like certain things would kind of be taken advantage of, but at the same time, not everybody can get their moment at the same time. Like I've seen it up close and personal where, one of the hardest things about working at WWE was working on a storyline and literally, and I guess this is like kind of rough if like you're a fan of the shit too, but I mean, I guess you gotta put that in the back. Literally, like one of your favorite wrestlers you have nothing for. You know what I mean? Like I was working like when I first got there, I'm working 205 Live and I'm doing all this stuff and I love Kenta. Love that dude. And I got nothing for him. I can't get him on the show, but that doesn't mean, you're not going to get on the show eventually. And at the same time, if you're a talent, you understand like, all right, like that sounds good and all, but like, this is my livelihood. And if I'm not getting on TV and people aren't seeing me and I ain't getting over, like, who's to say they ain't going to just, wish me well on my future endeavors in the next couple of months. So I understand where both people are coming from. My thing is, Booker T, you got to understand, he's done this for, damn near 30 years. He runs his own wrestling school. Like he's trained people like the Ember Moons, the Usos of the world, like people who are like legit people, you know what I'm saying, in the company. Mark Henry, who has traveled the world and has been instrumental in getting a bunch of black wrestlers signed. Like I've seen it firsthand, him have a strong hand in getting the Apollo Crews signed, a strong hand in getting Ricochet on, Rich Swann, like a lot of these guys, So it's never, in my point of view, it's never came from a view of hating. It's came from a point of view of, I know how this place works. And if you want to, and I want to see you do well, but this ain't the way. And I'm not anybody, like, bro, I've worked with Trent, I've worked with Trinity, I've worked with Naomi for a long time. Everybody loves her. She's one of the most beloved people in not just backstage, but all of wrestling. Everybody wants her to get on. Everybody. She's been on Total Divas for a bunch of years. She has a ton of fans. Like, everybody loves her. But everybody's time doesn't happen at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, and you kind of gotta sound shitty, sounds whack, but like, you know, sometimes you just gotta kind of keep doing you until you get subbed into the game, man. Like, you gotta keep kind of riding yourself until coach puts you in, and you got to take those opportunities. And she's done it. Like, you know, when the Royal Rumble this year, I mean, I really do feel like there's a lot of people who took advantage of the pandemic and have risen since then. But I feel like somebody like Naomi, she is such an experience. You know what I mean? Like, when she comes into the ring, when the glow music hits and she's got the helmet on and she's sliding down and doing this, like, she is an experience. You know what I mean? And if you're not there to feel that and see that live, that's something that, you know, there's ways to get popping, right? Like, you could, you know, have people who really want to get you on backstage, or writers and all that type of stuff, whatever. And you could kind of like force people's hands. Like, listen, you hear those people, you see them going crazy for me. We got to do something. You know what I mean? And Naomi is such a live event experience that it's hard, man. It's hard for her to kind of do her thing when there's really no crowd. And not to say that she still won't, but you saw how long she trended when the Royal Rumble came out, when she came out with the fro. People who don't even watch wrestling was like, yo, I don't watch wrestling, but I'll watch her.
Who is that? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
did you get a Essence article right after that?
Yeah. I'm sure she did. I'm sure she did. She's so dope. She's one of the dope, like, there's nothing that she can't do in that ring. But I'm saying, man, like, it was super unfortunate that she couldn't really capitalize off that Royal Rumble moment like I knew she would have. You know what I mean? She got a great placement. She had that stare off with Charlotte Flair. You know what I mean? She had the thing with Bianca Belair. Like, it was all right there. You know what I'm saying? So it's difficult sometimes, man. Like, it's difficult sometimes. So I say all that to say it's not you know, I'm not gonna go ahead and say, like, you know, again, MVP, one of my longest, dearest friends, great guy, super duper triple OG. I just think these guys have different ways of kind of going about it, man. Like, MVP kind of has that I would say, from the outside looking in, and we haven't discussed this or anything like that, like, MVP's had enough experience outside of WWE to kind of like not necessarily have to abide by the Booker T's and Mark Henrys of the world. I mean, like, that's how you get those gigs 10 years after you stop wrestling, man. Like, that's how you host in the backstage shows. That's how you become an agent. That's how you run shit over there. You know what I mean? You kind of got to know how big homie thinks, and you got to kind of know how to play the game, and that's what they do. Not to say that's all they do, but they're coming from a place of like, yo, I'm trying to help you out. This is how the game kind of goes here.
Yeah, well, I've actually heard MVP say nigga, so I know he's official.
Same, and only because you said it first is the reason why.
No, it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. It was actually the roast of Booker T.
Bro, I love MVP so much, man. Like, he's been on my podcast a bunch of times. He's one of maybe like 3 people who's been at every single WaleMania. MVP is super good in my book any day of the week. Love him.
Yo, that I think Drip has a stat for us.
What's the stat?
Drip, you muted, my man. Drip, you muted.
My bad, I forgot. The Essence article was February 5th of this year, and it seems to also focus on Bianca Belair and Ember Moon for a portion of it. Naomi seems to be the center of attention as well.
I remember the tweet going out. Specifically, there was a black woman who said her daughter noticed Naomi on TV because of her hair. and was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Who is mommy? Who is that?" And that. I mean, again, and I think that's the thing, because you bring up a great point, about obviously experience and tenure, and people who've played the game for decades, knowing what it takes to get up there. But I think representation also matters, and this is with the Black Lives Matter movement, with the protests, with everything going on, and that plus the idea, like we've been saying the last like 3-4 years, just the Black audience is really starting to become vocal, whether it's a podcast or just being on the, like, Naomi trended because of how people felt she was being treated on SmackDown. So
Yeah.
Even, and again, I don't know Booker T. I don't know any of these people like that, but I can see Booker T being a guy who is trying to give you that tough love, trying to really give you those tough lessons. It's one of those things where maybe there's a different way of delivering it. Maybe now isn't the time to, at the very least, appear like you're, at the pedestal.
And we also gotta remember the way the message was received too. Like, it was on Booker T's podcast. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times things could come off a little bit more harsh than it would be if him and Naomi was having just a one-on-one conversation. You know what I mean? So, but that being said, man, like, one thing you can't really like give WWE any real crap for is their representation. Like, in the past, past 3-4 years, they have taken huge strides as far as like making sure that we're seeing a lot of people of color, whether they're Black, whether they're Indian, whether they're Asian. You know what I'm saying? Like, they are truly a global brand. And there's a lot of people that's sitting on those shareholders meetings, and even back, I don't know if they still do it, but back in the day when I was there, before we even started our creative meetings, before we even started our production meetings with the team, when we start TV, we'd read social media reports and literally read, what people are talking about, and also talk about, like, what's who we're going up against. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, as all that data kind of adds up, it's like, all right, yeah, we're doing we're the most social moment of the night was Bobby Lashley doing such and such, or Drew McIntyre doing such and such. So even if like you wasn't positioned highly on the show, if you were consistently getting the most social moment of the night, they're gonna start putting more stock into you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that really did help. And on top of that, there would also be like the moments where, this you see, the chairmans and the stockholders, that, the people on the board from all walks of massive entertainment. I mean, Steve Barron, who is, who ran Parkwood Entertainment, Beyonce stuff, he's on the board. You know what I'm saying? Like, on the other hand, you got the one of the chairman of Barstool Sports on the board. You know what I'm saying? And these are all people who understand what diversity means, and how, granted, yes, it is a good thing for people to see people that look like them, but they also know that it pays. It pays to be diverse, and it pays to tap into an audience at a certain time, at a certain moment, to be like, all right, yeah, we're gonna make sure we're gonna have a Black world champion. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think I ever told anybody this, but like, literally my first week there, damn, I definitely never told anybody this. This is when Road Dogg was running Road Dogg was running SmackDown, and he was like, yo, we're going into Fox with a Black world champion. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was something that they were set on. Even when I went to do my interview, first thing I asked the HR people was like, it's a little light in here. What are you guys doing about diversity? And they were like, it's a high priority here. We're working on it. And to their credit, they absolutely have, gotten, even if it's not as much as it should be, they've taken steps, and they've absolutely, when it comes to television, you're gonna see, like, what is it, like 60 or 70% of the champions are all people of color. When's the last time that's ever happened? I mean, like, you got Sasha Banks, you got Asuka, you got the Hurt Business, Bobby Lashley, like, you got all these people, both tag team champions. Like, it's the first time, you know what I mean, that I've seen this in my lifetime. You know what I mean? So, and again, like, I've never asked them this, but like, if I put a gun to my head, I'm pretty sure their plan was to go into Fox with Bobby Lashley as champion. And I think the Kofi moment just kind of came, and they had to pull the trigger on it, because if I remember correctly, I think the plan was originally Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens going into WrestleMania with the world title, and then you know, shout out KO. I do love KO so much. He was like, "You are not putting me in that situation. This is Kofi's moment.
Right.
This is Kofi's moment."
It was what Ali had gotten injured, and then Kofi took his spot, and it was something about that Kofi and Daniel Bryan moment. And I think, to your credit, that was the social thing everybody was seeing, and they turned that into a movie.
It was Elimination Chamber. And I think, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, and I think it could have been Money in the Bank when it really first started. When it really first started was at Money in the Bank, when the New Day was all like deciding which one of them was going to be in it, right? And they all came out together, and like Woods came out and acted like he was going to take off his jacket, and he was like, nah, they ain't going to be me. And then Big E came out and took off his jacket, and he's like, nah, it ain't me. And then once Kofi walked out, the place exploded. Like, fuck yeah, Kofi, like, it's about time. No. And it's like, that was when the first like thing went off in my brain. I was like, damn, why not Kofi? Why not Kofi? And then I remember a segment I was writing for SmackDown on New Year's Day. Never forget it. The New Day kicked off the show. And, you know, Big E was in a diaper, and a New Year's baby diaper, and they were all talking about their New Year's resolutions. And we wrote something in there about, like, you know, things that they're going to do. And they're like, you know, yeah, you know, I want to do this, that, like, you know, I want to do this. And Kofi's like, yeah, you know, I'm going to go for the world title. It's like, you know, it's not like I haven't been here for 12 years and, you know, and like, he's like kind of like talking himself crazy. And then they're like, Kofi, calm down. One day it's going to happen. One day it's going to happen. And we wrote it in as like a joke. It's like, yeah, nigga, why not Kofi? But then, you know, happenstance sort of happens. Ali gets hurt. Kofi ends up in the Elimination Chamber match. He burns it down. And then they all had that moment. I think that was literally my last week working there. They all had that moment where they're sitting on the steps, and, you know, the New Day are just like, you know, just like comforting him, and Big E saying something along the lines of like, yo, get these flowers, man, get these flowers. Get these flowers,
get these flowers.
And then everybody felt that. Everybody.
We were on the phone that night. It's like, yo, did y'all see that shit? It was a moment. It was a real
moment. And right there when I was like, they're going with him. He's getting that moment. He's gonna get that moment. So that's when it kind of all the groundswell kind of started. And you can plan for those moments as much as you can, but the best sort of moments is when it's the crowd gives it to you, and you can't be denied it, and they won it. And you know, we got one of the greatest moments in WrestleMania history because of it.
Yeah, 100%. Now we talked a bunch of like moments are really, really important. One of the other moments, you know what I mean, was the Kaepernick knee in that celebration. Which is super black. What's the blackest thing other than possibly that Kaepernick knee that you got on TV?
Oh man, several things that if you're not an Easter egg hunter, you're not gonna find it, right? Like, all right, so okay, let's think.
I still need to know who got that pause on TV with the Prophets. I want to know who got the nigga the pause headband. I need to know who. They don't nobody that. It had to be my man. It had to be yo, because nobody back
there. They don't know nothing about that.
Nah. I mean, wasn't necessarily like a super black moment. One of my favorite black moments was the New Day joining the Five Timers Club.
That, yes.
That was, we got to bring King Booker back in Toronto, and that was super fun. And we never got through rehearsals because they kept laughing the whole time and doing the spinneroonies, and that was great. There was a time we got the New Day to pretty much quote sicko mode throughout an entire promo, and nobody caught on to it. I was like, as long as it made us laugh, like we did it. Like it didn't matter. As long as we had a place to get to, no matter how we got there. If the guys thought it was funny, it was getting on TV. Like Vince gave those dudes carte blanche when it came to any sort of like cultural moments. It was like, oh, it's cool. Word. All right, yeah. All right, great. Works. What else, man?
You were there for the battle, the New Day Usos.
Oh gosh, so that was right before my time. But I was talking to Wale about it the whole time. The Usos, man, that was an incredible moment. A moment that I did put together that I wasn't super proud of, that I know could have been so much better, was we tried to like do it again. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but we tried to like recapture the magic of that battle rap with it was the Usos versus the Bar, right? Like there was a time that the Bar was like trying to outdo the Usos and everything. So they were like, yo, we're gonna
I remember this.
That was so bad. So like Sheamus and Cesaro like came out like dressed like Vanilla Ice. And they were doing, and they did a song called Ice Ice Shamey. Like, the Usos did what they did. Like they came in, they're like, yo, we got something, don't worry. I was like, trust y'all, go for it. But
for the record, if they did, I would be okay with the Usos saying nigga. Keep going.
Never around me, but same. Like it wouldn't bother me as much. I'll probably get canceled for it, but I'm just like, they're all right. They were actually supposed to be the guest of honor this year in Tampa. There was supposed to be those guys coming in and getting their flowers with their pops. So it was damn, what other moments that I had? Like it was so many. I did some stuff with Elias, you know what I mean? Where like he kind of like made fun of like a couple of rappers and stuff like that, and that were in their town, and just Leo Rush and Lashley, we did a bunch of stuff together. And like, man, if I gotta go back and watch like WWE Network stuff. I'm like, I know there's a few things that I snuck in there that were like, all right, they're not gonna know what this means. Whatever. Let's.
I think that was the stuff that was, especially when the New Day was really hitting that stride, that we can do whatever we want on TV type shit. It was, and it's no shade to them, but that there has to be someone on the inside that is on the timeline. They know exactly the right thing for that week. Yeah. And I mean, again. This
okay. Here's another one.
I remember Curry's.
I remember when. They came out the Curry. Okay, that's another one. There's when they came out the Steph Curry's. There's another moment where, oh my gosh, we got a Jussie Smollett.
Oh shit!
It was with Big E, and man, I think they were talking about man, there's so many crazy shows out there. They're just doing anything for people to watch. And it's like, it's kind of like Empire. It's like they'll do anything. Like it was. I wish I could remember it correctly, but like the Jussie Smollett joke that we snuck in there got like a ooh from the. Which is the best sort of thing you can do. Man, I gotta go watch them. If you just watching this WWE Network, anything in like end of 2017 to the beginning of 2019, you know what I mean? Like there's some stuff in there, you know what I mean? So if you see some New Day stuff or 205 Live stuff or Lashley Leo or Elias and Kevin Owens or there's a lot in there. So Roman and Bobby Lashley, lots of stuff.
You know where it came from. I want to take it back a little bit because you mentioned about when we were talking about Black fans specifically and people being, kind of disappointed or going into a situation feeling that, some shit might go down. You already know what it's going to be. Last week, we kind of went back and forth about, again, taking it back to Impact and Omega and Impact. My thought as an old pro wrestling fan watching NWA and all that shit is when the big champion from the one federation comes to visit the other federation, at some point there's going to have to be a confrontation between that champion and that federation's champion. Mm-hmm. And I knew it wasn't going to happen. I think I said we're probably going to get a situation where at best Rich Swann's going to be walking one way down the hall and maybe Omega's going to be walking down the other way, and they have like a look, a glance or whatever. Rich couldn't even get on the bus. Now, and shouts out to like Public Enemy, shouts out to Drip. They hit me immediately that night. We're like, "Yo, you called it. You knew what the fuck was going to happen."
Yeah.
But I guess the question is, it seems like AEW and Impact are going to be rocking for at least a little bit. Do we think, with the way Kenny Omega's talking, that we might see Kenny versus whoever is coming out of Final Resolution as the Impact World Champion having some type of match either on Impact or like if I could get Chris Bay as an Impact World Heavyweight Champion on
Dynamite
going again, like, do we think that's out? Do we see that happening in the near future?
I don't think that's out of the question. I think if I'm a betting man, I mean, he kind of teed it up this past weekend saying, he's the collector again. So like, he wants to start collecting. He wants to start collecting, world titles and the most, So I feel like there's going to be something there. I feel like if it's not Rich Swann or Chris Bay or probably even Moose, I mean, that's a black ass main event scene. So I like that a lot. I think if I'm AEW, that kills a lot of birds with one stone. I feel like that helps their diversity issue. Like you don't see a whole lot of like top black talents on their company, and instead of like pandering or doing anything, just be like, hey, work with Impact, take their world champion, bring them on AEW Dynamite, have them get a quick rub. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I could definitely see Chris Bay or Rich Swann or Moose showing up at AEW Dynamite and going at Kenny Omega. And that's where the whole territories and other companies working together sort of thing gets a little tricky, because it's like, all right, who's going over? Like, who's gonna, like, who's gonna be the guy to kind of eat this? Like, yeah, we are a bigger company and we are, people are watching our show because of you. But at the same time, it's like, of course he's gonna go over. But at the same time, it's like, all right, you are the bigger company. You don't really lose much by having Kenny Omega give Rich Swann or Chris Bay or Willie Mack or Moose a big win. Like that helps the company overall.
Kenny Omega, Willie Mack would be insane.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, man. I agree. And on top of that, I feel like this is going to be something that goes on for a while. I don't think it's going to be a couple of one-offs. I think there's going to be a nice little bridge there where eventually we get something between world champions. And, maybe here's the thing. If I'm eyeballing it right now, we are 3, maybe 4 months away from the most wrestling heavy period of the year. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's going to be a super show. I mean, I feel like the seeds have been planted for a New Japan, AEW, Impact Wrestling, like mega show, probably in like April or something, right around WrestleMania time. Or if maybe they don't want to, ride the coattails of like the biggest show, but like if I'm them, I want to have a super mega show that, while everyone's watching wrestling, like, yeah, we're not gonna have these people drown out. I mean, like WWE has like bottomless pockets. They can call up The Rock and have them work shit. Like, what are you gonna do to combat that? You know what I'm saying? So like, there's gonna be a super show, and if you're doing that, like, you're gonna need those world champions coming in and just burning it down. And even if they lose, like, you're not gonna give away a champion versus champion from a different type of show on a regular TV show. That's gonna be a pay-per-view. That's gonna be something where I need my guy to look good. You need your guy to look good. Here's 40 minutes. Have them just fucking go at it. And, you know, no matter who wins, we both come out looking good. You know what I'm saying? So
just trying to think of, like, because I don't think AEW has a pay-per-view until February, March, something like that. I think that is their first one. Is whatever. Is it Revolution? I don't know. Trip, if you could look that up, I'd appreciate that. But they have. I saw that they do have a holiday bash coming up, either the end of December or sometime in January. But I think, you know, it's stuff like this. The other thing that was happening Tuesday night was a lot of people talking about, oh shit, are they about to merge? Is AEW about to buy Impact? But they forget that first All In, there was no AEW. You had people from TNA, you had people from ROH, you had people from a number of different organizations coming together to really make that. So it's not new. Kenny was a AAA mega champion last year or whatever.
He still is. He still is a AAA mega champion. Yeah.
Right. And they were talking about that title on TNT. So I think people need, maybe it's, I don't know if it's that people are newer fans, so they don't know this type of stuff or remember when ECW was still an organization invading Raw and like how WCW used to work with some of the Japanese organizations. Like, it's not new, but I guess it's unique because people are seeing that not only is it TNT, but like Tony Khan, that his pockets are deep.
Well, it's the first time we've seen it in like the monopolized wrestling era, right? Like it's when once WWE kind of like, you know, won the Monday Night Wars, nobody's really had like a snowball's chance in hell and really like at least even making a dent in their empire. And now still it's not really making a dent, but you know, there's a legitimate alternative right now for the first time in 20 years. And you know, and I guess depending on how you look at Impact or TNA, but like as far as like major cable company, as far as like billionaire pockets, as far as like, you know, if I don't like, you know, wrestlers in WWE are using AEW for leverage when it comes to contract negotiations, man, because they know they can go somewhere and get paid just as good or even better, you know. So it's the first time that's happened in a long time. And you know, it's not new, but it absolutely puts you know, WWE and just pro wrestling in general in a fun new space, because we haven't gotten to see this in a long time. So, and you know, it's kind of forcing WWE's hand. Like Triple H said on the call where he said, you know, NXT's open for business, WWE's open for business. So like, who's gonna bite first? Like, who's gonna, you know, who's gonna make that move? Like, are they gonna work with New Japan? Are they gonna work with Shimmer? Are they gonna go to Progress? Like, I don't know. Like, it's an exciting time for wrestling fans, man. So we'll see how that goes.
That's a fact, man. I think Drip got a stat for us.
Yeah, according to AEW's website, Revolution will take place on February 27th, 2021. That's 3 days after I turned 26.
There you go.
So.
Why am I talking about you? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But
baby.
So that gives them, you have a good like 2.5 months, maybe a little more to build it on TV. Maybe even have some type of special event on, you know, it's quarantine, so sometimes like they turn so many of those dynamites into Fighter Fest and all. Winter is coming was the whole thing. Like, you know, you can make a big event where it doesn't even have to be. It doesn't even have to be matches upon matches, federation versus federation, but make a moment where these Impact guys are coming through to be like, yo, y'all not gonna keep disrespecting us. I need Chris Bay on TNT. There were a lot of people this past Tuesday night who, and shouts out because Chris Bay, he's gonna be. We'll talk about Super J Cup in a sec, but he's doing things right now. But there are wrestling dirt sheet accounts, news sites that have blue check marks that were saying, who is this man? I've never seen him before. Like,
that scared the shit out of me, man. What the fuck?
I love it. I love it. Shout out to pre-production.
God
But
damn.
we're in a moment where like Chris Bay has that swag of like being the rock star. Like
and Cody has went on record and saying like he's a big fan of his. Like he was on the AEW, radar before he ended up signing to Impact. So I mean, like, there's he's got a lot of he's super young, he's still super new, man. Like he's got a lot of cachet, and I don't think Impact pulls the trigger right now, but he's definitely gonna be the face of that company sooner rather than later, man.
Facts. We Chris Bay, shouts out to you for your support. Look, we rock with Chris. I know Chris rocks with us. We're trying to make something happen, but I don't want to speak too much out of turn. We would have been early to people would have known who Chris Bay was if our plans had went through. We're probably going to be in a situation where people will be able to learn more about him after he's already become a thing, because that's just how shit goes. But
just check the timeline, check his wardrobe. He know and we know.
There was that whole video with him and Katie Forbes going back. He had the hoodie on. Like
she was shaking that Al meat, and and he had on the hoodie. You know what I'm saying? It was a great situation. You know what I mean?
Wait,
I refuse to speak on Mrs. Rob Van Dam. So
don't worry. Don't worry, champ. We got you.
that's what we're here for. Wait, throw Dripple on for a sec. I want to get some info on these AEW things, because these are like 3 or 4 different shows here. Drip, what are they doing?
Yeah. So Wednesday, December 23rd, they're doing Holiday Bash. That's immediately following Celtics Bucks. December 30th, they're doing New Year's Smash Night 1, and that says with special guests. So Chris Bay, Chris Swan,
Shaquille
O'Neal. Again, January 6th is New Year's Smash Night 2 with special guest Snoop Dogg, because the cross branding with
People are pissed at that, right? WWE's apparently pissed at that.
They tight. You man.
Well, what can you do? Like he's got a whole show over. Like that's what it is. If I'm not mistaken, I think that week is when.
That's what it is.
Whatever
the Go Big show.
If they don't let Snoop call a match, they have dropped. If they don't,
that's what they're gonna do.
Call a match, but you got to do it in your late hour, because Snoop gonna be high and he gonna cuss a little bit pride. Y'all ain't look like 2 uncles in the backyard tussling, cuz. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna listen, but let them get them bars off.
But they let Chris Jericho say he throw 15 shits in a promo, shit and bullshit and dick and all that. Like it's really like 14-year-old humor, but it's a lot. There's a lot. So I'm not saying Snoop need to be out there with a blunt, but like
he should be.
They need to have him call Luchasaurus so he can be like a dinosaur. What the fuck's a dinosaur doing in the ring? Like,
hey, a dinosaur came in there, cuz it's crazy out here. Like, no,
again,
it would be fire for them niggas to really work an angle. You know how like the NBA just came out and like, we probably ain't gonna piss these niggas no more. Like, just be like the AEW should come out and really say, we're not pissing these niggas neither. Like, I would. If so, my thing, I guess, with AEW is they don't have bookers, right? They don't have they don't have a writing team. Mm-hmm. So we always talk about those voices in the room, but ain't no room,
right?
And
the writers are the wrestlers.
Yeah,
the inmates run the asylum.
That gets tricky, man.
I think it can. You just have to be with the right people, and I don't know if this is not. It's a situation where are these the right people, or maybe they need like a small committee of people who are just committed to putting together the best timeline for these matches or the stories or what have you. Until that happens, we got what we got, and it's a bunch of. Someone showed it was a graphic for this past week's show. It was 2 women mentioned on there, one by name, and then it was like 50 dudes. Like there's just so much of this. I don't want to sound like an AEW hater this week, so I'm gonna chill right now.
Yeah, it's hard to find a lot of black people that fuck with AEW. I've noticed.
Nah, it's because they have relegated the darks to dark.
AEW Dark. Yeah, I didn't think that was just I thought that was a play on the words. I'm like, all right, so this is where all the black wrestlers are. I had no idea.
It makes sense. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
I mean, they got. I don't know why, man. Like, I really want to fuck with AEW, and I've gotten more comfortable with them in the past couple of weeks. Like, I thought the Sting shit was cool. I'm a big fan of the Bucks.
Mo and Joe Buck. I don't know their names.
It's just. There's no diversity at all, man. Like it's a very white. Like, and I could deal with some white shows.
I watch a lot of white shit, but that's a very white show.
Hey! I'll let
like Jerry Seinfeld, like
15 years.
Like the casting director of Friends is like, this is a very white show. It is a lot. Like, goddamn.
Well, speaking of shit that's gonna get a little blacker this year, Super J Cup it starts this weekend, and they have Chris Bay, they got Leo Rush, and they got Super ACH out there. Kaz, you a big you watch a lot of Japan?
I ain't gonna lie, I haven't in a minute. You know what I mean? Like, it's been a while since I've that New Japan's kind of like done anything to really like get my attention. But Leo Rush is my guy. Love that dude to death. He's the real winner of the Wednesday Night Wars, by the way, because he's on the #1 show in cable television, MTV The Challenge. So make sure that's right. And
for now, yeah. Apparently he did.
No MTV. I don't need no spoilers. All right, no need.
Well, it's just, I'm not watching it, but it just started, so who knows how long he'll make it through.
So good. But I think I will check out the Super J Cup. I like Leo Rush a lot. I mean, in the finesses, Chris Bay is going to be in there. ACH. There's a lot of fun ways they can go with that. So I'm hoping. I mean, Leo is a guy who I think could be a mega star, man. I've always said that since like the first time I met him. I'm like, this dude, he just got it. And I just think he needs a place that really gets him and lets him be him. You know what I'm saying? And once they get that, sky's the limit for him. Sky's the limit. And maybe it's WWE again, once again. I don't know. MTV, getting on MTV is a good look. And, and it's never, the door's never really closed in WWE unless you do some wild shit. You know what I'm saying? So
Jackson Riker's back or whatever.
Nah, I thought everybody put him back. Everybody
back about him. Yeah,
no, he's back. He's with Elias.
He's Elias's security guard on Main Event. They snuck him in. They snuck him in the Main Event.
Oh wow!
He's back.
God dang. Well, I mean, that Dream is back too. So
Lars Sullivan was. Was back. Apparently, he's gone now.
Yeah.
They ain't got nothing for him.
But real quick about the Super J Cup, there is a realistic chance that either Chris Bay or Super ACH could be in the finals based on how their bracket works.
Okay.
Chris Bay faces Clark Connors and Super ACH faces TJP. The winners of those would face each other. So Super ACH beats TJP and Chris Bay beats Clark Connors. They'll face each other, and the winner of that will go to the finals. So there's a realistic chance that one of those guys could eventually win it just based on how everything goes.
Hey, listen, man, if you let one of those companies beat you to diversity, if you let New Japan, they done been calling y'all all kinds of guy jeans and all this stuff. Nigga, if you let them,
I can 1000% see Chris Bay winning the world, the Super J Cup, man. Like, it's usually those guys with the big buzz, and he's got buzz, man. He's got buzz, so I could see it. Who knows?
Well, shit. I think that's all we got this week for pro wrestling news. But one thing we like to do every week, Kaz, was we like to, for everybody, crown our Black Wrestler of the Week. So I'm wondering, Big Kaz, who is your Black Wrestler of this week?
Black Wrestler of the Week. I'm gonna have to go with my man Cedric Alexander, man. I feel like Cedric's on the ride right now. I think he's getting the real big rub from the Hurt Business. He's gotten a couple of dubs over the New Day, and there's singles competition, right? Like, so I'm liking that they're putting him in singles competition. He's always been. I don't know how the hell he ever made 205 Live, because I'm like, you're the biggest 205-pound dude I've ever seen in my life. You and
Buddy Murphy.
Yeah, I was gonna say you and Buddy Murphy. I'm like, I don't know what scale y'all motherfuckers is on, but y'all are not 205 pounds. But yeah, I like Cedric Alexander a lot. I've liked him since his Ring of Honor day. I've liked him since his indie days, and it'll be a beautiful full circle moment from Please Sign Cedric to really being a real player in the Hurt Business. And they're starting planting the seeds that Cedric might be a little bit more arrogant than he's letting on, probably thinking he's bigger than the Hurt Business. Maybe after this New Day thing happens, maybe there'll be some little, I don't want to say infighting, but
I mean, shit, we called Ricky Starks the Pebble, but maybe Cedric might be becoming the Pebble of the Hurt Business.
Maybe. Listen, all I know is if we get Cedric Alexander to buy the Hurt Business a bunch of solid gold Rolexes and gives MVP a picture of himself, shut it all down. Shut it all down. That'll be the greatest push ever.
Yep, he's stomping niggas in loafers for the rest of his career.
Fam, who's your Black Wrestler of the Week?
Hey, listen, man, I have never been sadder to be safe, to feel safe wearing my chain anymore, man. I'm going with my nigga Zeus. Rest in peace.
Great call. Rest in peace, Tiny, man. Rest in peace, Deebo.
Yes, sir.
Max, how about you, Drip?
Ricky Starks, of course. I mean, Drip God.
Drip God.
Goddamn, can I pick two? Can I pick two?
Go ahead.
Goddamn, I forgot. I gotta pick my man Big E, man. Big E got the solo debut this week. New entrance music, courtesy of my brother Wale.
Brought the powder back.
Brought the powder back
like Miami. He brought the powder back like Miami. Get your nose right. I'm sorry.
When you got a real artist on the entrance music, that smells like a push to me, brother. So I think it's time. I think it's gonna be Big E's time this year. I looked at the odds for the Royal Rumble. He's a heavy favorite to win it. I mean, there's a lot of things to like about Big E coming up. So I'm cheating and taking two, Big E and Cedric Alexander.
No, that's perfect.
The fam's joke earlier. Oh, I was gonna say that Ricky Starks sold Biggie the powder, so
like it.
With Math not being here, I guess somebody has to have two Black Wrestlers to represent.
Yeah,
legit.
I think finally I did. After Tuesday, there's no way I can say anybody but Chris Bay, and Chris Bay might be my Black Wrestler for the next couple of weeks. But we've talked about him throughout the whole episode. I think it's not just how he is on the show. It's not just how he is in the ring, but then you go online and he's working on he's putting in so much work that you can just see. I don't know if it's the promised land. I don't know if it's going to be championship gold, but there's something for him out there in the very near future, and I can't wait to see him achieve whatever that's going to be. That man's got a big and bright future. So yeah, salute. Chris Bay. We're trying. All right.
My nigga, 100%. Yo, it's funny when you talk about when you can start to see niggas grinds outside of what it is that they're actually doing. I'll never forget, man, I used to work in this hotel, Courtyard by Marriott. This is maybe 2000. Nah, it's like 2099. And WWE, it's their hotel for the weekend or whatever. And that head of security, the big white dude, the salt and pepper hair, I can never remember his name. He comes out and he's sitting at the bar with Pat Patterson and some other guy, and they are talking about Triple H at the bar. And this is before the boss's daughter and all that, and and they talk about his grind. When you hear other people talk about a man's grind and he isn't there, you know it's official.
There's something going on. That's right. Well, That's going to do it for us this week. Kaz, let the people know where they can find you on social media. Or you got a lot of jobs, so I mean, whatever you got to shout out to keep the checks rolling in. Where can people find you?
Well, you can follow me on all social media, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, at Kazeem, Kazeem. You can check out my podcast with my brother Low Key and my homegirl Rosie, Say Less, every Monday, or wherever you stream podcasts. You can check out my show if you're in the New York area or you got Fubo TV or YouTube, wherever, MSGAM every morning at 8 o'clock. You can check out the show that I executive produce and showrun, starring DJ Khaled, called The First One, only on Amazon Music. Just dropped a new episode with P. Diddy today. Incredible episode. And you can check me out talking wrestling every Thursday on The Ringer, on the Masked Man Show with my brother Dave Shoemaker. And
yeah, shout out Shoemaker.
And you can catch me this weekend on the WWE Network. I'm going to be a guest on the Swerve City podcast with Swerve Scott. I think Wade Barrett and Vic Joseph are the guests. So check me out, man. I'm staying busy, staying working.
What about you, Finn? Where you at?
Hey, man, IlFam7 on your social media choice, but absolutely more importantly, every weekend on the Where's Buffy podcast. You already know what it is, man. Rest in peace, Buff. Rest in peace, Zeus. And depend 3 or 4 more of these. Rest in peace, me.
What about you, Drip? Drippin' working. Drippin' trying to get his game going.
Yeah. Follow me on Twitter, Davis, aka Drip. Davis Colton DC on IG. That's where you'll find my other podcasts I'm working on. But most importantly, Stat Guy for BRP, Black Rasslin.
We don't get.
Way to be an ally, Drip. I like you.
Imagine being out in public and you just see this little white nigga with the black Rasslin with the nigga with the beret on it, and he walking around with the hoodie and the chain. And if you don't want to take his chain,
I told you guys on Thanksgiving, my dad had told me my grandpa asked about what's this Black Rasslin that Davis keeps posting about. I'm like, I gotta explain it to him. Like, it's like wrestling, though. It's what it is. But like, I'm the white guy on the
Black guy on the Black Wrestling show. Yeah,
all right,
you have the safest job on the show. Everybody is the white guy. It's like, come on, Drip, talk to the cops.
I know, it's literally the Chappelle joke where like, I didn't know I could go that fast. It's like,
Chip, Drip, it all works out.
Matt Cowell on Twitter, at Black Rasslin on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. BlackRasslin.com is the website. And as always, you can find the Black Rasslin podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, we're there. Again, Black Rasslin podcast on YouTube. You can see all of our faces and a bunch of other episodes from, the last couple of months or whatever. We're trying to build that up. So please support. Oh, and if you're rocking with the Black Rasslin snapbacks, there are still some available, I believe, on blackwrestling.bigcartel.com. Salutes to Math.
Good luck.
Good luck on that. Don't ask me about the Nation crew next. Don't ask me about these. We're chilling for a minute. Follow the Instagram Black Rasslin if you want to be clued in on the next merch drop. Kaz, thank you very much for coming through. Really appreciate it. Glad we can make it happen. And we'll catch the rest of y'all next week. Peace.